Hi everyone, happy Monday. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to make a raised garden bed out of pallets that you can get for free. So I got these pallets at the local Home Depot. I also went to a couple of garden centers. I'm gonna be making a huge project for the kids out of these, but in the meantime, I have a lot of soil left over. So I'm actually gonna be making raised beds out of these guys. So let's get started and let me show you how incredibly easy it is to make raised beds. All you need to make them is something to cut the wood with. So either a handsaw or a miter saw or circ saw, jigsaw, whatever you have, something to cut these with, and a drill. That's basically it. So let me show you how super simple it is to make these garden beds for free. I just wanted to show you the different types of skids, because as intimidating as working with pallets is and doing all these DIYs, you can do this. I promise. It is so simple, and I'm really going to try and make it easy to follow instructions. So I'm going to show you the different types of pallets. So this is one pallet. Now, mind you, it is significantly longer than most of the pallets out there. But you can see this big piece is a 2x4. It's got notches taken out because when it's laying down, essentially like this and this is where, I'm gonna try and do it with one hand. This is where the forklift with those two teeth come under, and one tooth goes under there and one tooth goes under there, and they basically put it in and lift it up and then they drive away. So this is why it's notched out. So these are great pieces to use as the legs. Now, if you're gonna measure them out, they're never gonna be, they call them 2x4s, but they're always gonna be short. And I guess it's when they're at the mill, they cut them at 2x4, and then when they sand them or finish them or whatever they do, they're always short. So this is never gonna be exactly 2 inches, and this is never gonna be exactly 4 inches. So it's just gonna be shy by a bit, but you want nice big pieces. If you're not able to find these pieces, then I'm gonna show you another alternative. So here's a skid, and I believe this had bricks on it. So you can see it's got these like little blocks. It's got a block here. That's a great example. It's just like, this is its own piece. This is one piece of wood. That piece runs down, but in between it's got all these blocks, which is fine. So what you could do as your legs is you could actually just use these guys as legs. Another one, let me see. Okay, so this is another example over here. This is your typical skid size. Okay, so that one over there is basically twice the width as a regular skid. And this is a regular skid size. So it's got your panels running across, and then it's got, see again, it's got a little hole here and a little hole here. And in this pallet, they've used it as one whole piece. So this is your 2x4, which is a little short of 2 inches and 4 inches. Okay, but you can still use this. Now, when you're shopping for free for pallets, inspect them. Okay, so this one's got a huge crack running right down. It ends about there, but then there's another crack here. So this one's not the greatest one to use the legs, but I grabbed it because these pieces up top, for the most part, are in really great condition. Okay, this one not so much. I won't be using this one at all, but everything else, so 90% of this skid is fantastic. So I'm just showing you guys what different types of skids there are. You can see it's actually got 3 of them. So we've got one piece of wood. So you're going to be using these bigger pieces as your legs. Okay, and then I'll show you how to cut them in just a sec. We're going to take these apart. to show you an alternative. Now, I don't have a jigsaw or a circular saw, so I only have 2 hammers. I also don't have a crowbar, which would make it easier, but I just wanted to show you a really fast way to do this as an alternative. So pretend this is still on. Now, if you have a jigsaw or a circular saw, all these pieces that were down here, you could essentially just run them up along this side, just outside of this so you don't hit this, and essentially you would cut off all of these pieces. Okay, so yes, it would be short, but it would be a lot easier to just wiggle it out, because this is still going to be connected in the middle, for you to just wiggle it out, because then you're not fighting with all 3 ends being nailed down. I'm showing you that you don't have to have all these fancy gadgets. Yes, it's a lot more work, and I am sweating a little, but you can do it with just 2 hammers. Finished taking apart 2 skids, this is where you can basically make it whatever you want. So 2 of these are going to be the supports for underneath the bed, and 2 of these are going to be one of the 4 legs. So 2 of them I'm going to cut in half, and I've got 4 legs. The other 2, depending on how long or how wide you want this, that's where things can change. So what you're gonna do to make it really, really easy for you is before you start cutting any of these, you're gonna do a little bit of research. You're gonna go into your pile, and now if you cut it by jigsaw or circular saw or a hand saw, that's fine, because you're not gonna have as many frayed edges as I do. I only have 2 hammers, so I'm showing you the most basic tool kind of thing in order to take these apart. I'm gonna go into my stash and I'm gonna see roughly the average width of the pieces of wood that I have, and that's gonna give me the width of this. So let's go over to the pile and check those out. What I'm doing is I'm just going to cut off each end nicely, and this end is actually pretty okay, and you have to triple check before you cut if you've left any nails, because the last thing that you want to do is cut through these and break your saw. So this is the length that I'm going to be working with as far as this goes, and we're just going to cut the rest. When you're organizing these, you're going to be organizing them from really short ones to really long ones, because I personally want a rectangular type shape to my raised bed. But ultimately, if you want a square one and you just want really short pieces, then this is where you're going to cut and see, okay, what space is the best, right? From what you have. I have the space to put a really long raised garden bed, so that's what my plan is. So these ones I'm going to use for the width. I like the width of that. And then this one, now I'm looking for the long ways. Pieces, I'm just going to do an outline of the box just to see how wide I can go for the raised bed. So these are my long pieces, so these are going to be the width, and I've got way more than I need. But here's the great thing about this: you could go as deep as you want, and you can make your legs almost as high as you want. So I'm just going to lay these out nice and flat. These are going to overlap, so go from there to there, and then from there to there. So this is basically the size of what my raised bed is going to be. Now, the flexibility that I was talking to you about, you can go as high as you want. So basically, when this is standing upright, you can make your garden bed as absolutely deep as you, well, these are short pieces, but you can go as high as you want with them, depending on what you want to grow. So if you have something like peppers or beans or carrots, whereas like the beans have a lot of big root systems, same with peppers or squash. So you can basically be really flexible with this. Now, the only thing that's going to stand in your way is the length of the pallet part that you're going to use for your legs. So let me show you. Now, these are going to be your pallet legs. So essentially, if you want, I was going to cut these in half. I just realized that everything that I just did wasn't even in the shot. It's so hard trying to figure out video if you're just videotaping yourself. So what I was saying is, I'm almost 6 feet tall, so I like my raised beds. If I'm going to do them, I want them at a comfortable height. Now, if you just want them a little bit off the ground, you can easily take this piece, cut it in half, and these are what you're going to use. This is what you're going to use for your legs. I would like them a little bit higher. So what you're going to do to figure that out, you're just going to stand up, take any piece, the long piece, the short piece, whatever. The shorter piece is a lot lighter. So, oh, and you also need a pencil. I'll be right back. You're going to take this and you're going to see, okay, what's the height? What's the height that I want to use? Okay, so the tallest part, could it be here? Well, I'm going to be gardening in here. So I actually really like this height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a mark. This part is going to be my leg. So I have 4 of these pieces. Okay, so I'm going to cut these to the length that I need for my legs. So I cut my first leg. All you're gonna do, instead of measuring everything, you don't even need a tape measure really for this, because you're gonna figure out one piece, then you're gonna use all of those pieces, like that one piece, to measure out all the rest of your pieces. So I've got them at the very end. I'm gonna draw my line, and then you just cut it. And you're always double checking to see where the screws are or where the nails are. Because the last thing that you want to do is run right into one of those nails or screws and you'll see sparks fly. And that's not just because you're in love. Okay, that was a really bad joke. Never mind. Forget I said that one. So now I've got my 4 legs. Let's go back over to the other side. I quickly cut the side pieces, which are going to be my supports. So now that I've got this, we can start assembling this. So I'm just going to put these off to the side because I don't need them just quite yet. And these are going to be my supports. Now, they don't have to look pretty or gorgeous or whatever. They're just supports. So you're going to use the flat side up. Now you can see this one has seen better days, but we're scrapping it, right? So not every piece is going to be perfect, and that's okay. So we're going to assemble this. Now these are going to be my legs. Now I did make a mark on one of these, and conveniently I can't find it. So these are my cross beams. So I'm just going to remeasure how high I want these raised beds. So my soil is essentially, this is going to be the top of the bed. Now, how deep do I want to go? Well, I'm not going to be planting anything like carrots that are, 10 inches long. So I'm okay with about 8 inches. So I'm going to lay this out and I'm going to see what kind of wood I have. So I'm going to start from here. And I'm just using these side pieces to see roughly how deep I want. And that's actually great for me. So I'm just going to make a line right here, and it's going to be roughly this long. I'm going to try and line these boards up right now so that I have an even depth all the way around. So I'm going to figure out my 2 sides, and then I'm going to go to my 2 lengths. So I've got that. And I'm going to use this as a template. So I'm going to use my short sides to figure out the depth of my long pieces. Perfect. And I have extra. And now we're just going to put everything together. I've done the sides, I'm just going to put a second screw into each side, and then we're going to line everything up. All that's left to do is you're going to make the slats and you're going to go all the way across, and that's what's going to hold your soil. You're going to have two different lengths. So you're going to have a length in between each of your legs because these are coming inside. And then over here, once you're past the legs, these are going to be longer pieces than this because you don't have that piece there. And then the pieces underneath, these two that we screwed to the legs, this is what's going to hold your soil. And that's why you want really nice big thick pieces, just like your legs, to hold all that soil in. And we're almost done. So this one is 26 inches and this is just over 28. Always measure twice. friends, is how you make a raised pallet bed. So I'm just gonna line this up with some fabric, but before I do that, I'm just gonna build a couple more of these for myself, but I've gotta go grab the kids from school, so I will see you again next time. Bye for now.